Olympia Homes and Lifestyles. Here with Brad Joslin, the owner of Good Life Health Food Store on the west side of Olympia, Washington. How you doing today, Brad?
Doing very good, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for taking the time to allow me to interview you. And as you know, I'm a local customer, frequent customer, because he is very knowledgeable and knows everything about these products and can direct me right where to go when I have any kind of ailment. So, Brad, tell me a little bit about your store and why and what and how you started it.
Okay, we started in roughly 1980. We've been here since 1982. We started in a gym in Lacey, ended up here, and we moved over here, and this has been a family-owned and operated store since 1980. And we've helped a lot of people with nutritional supplements. It says a health food store, but we do have basically nutritional supplements and some health foods. So we deal with everything from foot fungus to cancers. And we help people get well. We ask them what their problems are, and then we work out the problems with them and what nutrients to give them for those isolated problems, whatever it might be. And nutritional supplements, because there's so many processed items have been for years with the grocery stores and with different places, and there's so many hormones and antibiotics shot in animals that people want to get away from them. So organics are the best way to go. Grass-fed beef, natural beef without the hormones, and the same way with chicken and turkey. So we look to tell people about how to actually live and eat correctly. Okay, now as far as nutritional supplements go, that's very important, because at the about age of 40 years old, if you haven't taken care of yourself and you've been eating these foods and with pesticides and herbicides in them, what happens is your liver is a detoxifying area of your body, and it loads up with these toxins, and it starts spilling over into the bloodstream, and then you start having health problems. So somebody that hasn't taken care of themselves, detoxified, and they're running between 35 and 45 years old, comes in here and asks, well, what's going on? I have to explain to them about that. Okay, for instance, both of my boys who worked in produce departments, I won't mention what stores, they started, my boys were 21 and 20 years old at the time, and they started cutting produce in two different stores in Tacoma and in, I guess it was Twin Lakes. And they started at the same month. I happen to know some people, so I got them interviews, and they got jobs. So they noticed these guys were in the produce department, were cutting the produce up, and it's called the wet bar. And they were wearing these big gloves, and both of my boys, we're tough. We don't have to have those gloves on, So they went without the gloves, and they noticed that they were getting these blisters on their arms. And so they asked me, what could that be, Dad? And I said, well, I think you better look into it, because I believe that's pesticides and herbicides. And my oldest boy looked into it, and it was. So he documented it, and he had some scars on his arms, from that. And he thought he would go to the union for help to maybe tell the people that, we're eating pesticides and herbicides, and this is what goes on. So he showed them the documentation and his arms and some scars on there, and they told him, well, if you want your job, keep your mouth shut. So we found out that most of your good produce and organics is coming from Olympia and this area, and of course it's spread out. Now you'll see that organics are in most every grocery store that there is. So you can buy organics, and they're getting cheaper and cheaper, but it's better to get something without pesticides and herbicides. Now, years ago, they came out with cereals. And the cereals, they would take all the nutrients out, and actually there was more nutrients if you ate the cardboard box than the cereal itself. So what happened was they started adding some vitamins back in. So these people are getting nutrients that aren't really natural, and not only that, but they're not getting the proper amounts. So this is what we see with prepared foods and processed foods and herbs produce that has pesticides and herbicides, that there can be lots of health problems down the road. So what we do is educate people and tell them, well, you need to eat the organics. And we deal with all kinds of problems, joint problems, stomach problems, back problems, even cancers. So you name it, we've dealt with it. You know, we help people. And this is what it's all about, is getting people well. So I show them, and we have two girls that work here, and they're very knowledgeable. We show them the people that come in here, you know, this will help you with this and that and the other thing. They have to make their own decisions what they want to do. And we can deal with just about everything that comes up. Doctors are necessary, don't get me wrong, doctors are very necessary, but when it comes to nutrition, that's what we're all about.
So Brad, what
Yeah.
is the most common ailment or a majority that most people come in here that you feel the need to be able to?
Well, there's several things that are probably more obvious than others, and that would be digestion. Digestion is one, because a lot of people don't realize that when you cook foods over 110 degrees, there's no enzymes left in the foods. So you need a digestive enzyme and hydrochloric acid in order to break down the foods, because it takes the stress off the proton pump, which produces acid, and off the gallbladder, and the liver and the pancreas that are hooked together with bile ducts, and the gallbladder concentrates the bile from the liver. So if you're not eating with properly, number one, you got to chew your food. You should chew your food 30 times before you swallow. And digestion starts in the mouth. Don't mix it with any drink. And you should have a digestive enzyme, because anything that's cooked over 110 degrees, there's no enzymes left in it. So you're asking your gallbladder and your proton pump to produce the acid and the bile to digest this food. And many times that bile and acid will come up into the esophagus and cause what they call heartburn. So then you go to the doctor, you go to somebody, and they say, well, the best thing to do is take a proton pump inhibitor. Like, well, there's different kinds, all different kinds. And not necessarily does that work, because it stops the acid from digesting the food. So what we do, we give you, we have enzymes and we have hydrochloric acid, depending on how old you are and how much acid you're producing, and we have ways of checking that out. Okay, and what that does is then you can take a digestive enzyme right before you eat. It takes the stress off the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas, and also off the proton pump, because it starts digesting the food. So you might say they have a day off, and it's an anti-aging, anti-stress. Okay, number two is that we get a lot of people with arthritis. Now there's several different kinds of arthritis. There's, and we could talk about that, but the most important thing to know is in cases where people have arthritis, they're missing the nutrients that needed to repair the synovial fluid and the connective tissue in the joints. So what we do is I find out what's going on, if they're bad, if they're real bad, or so we kind of grade how bad they are. If you have knee problems, or if you have elbow problems or hip problems. If somebody comes in with, let's say I've got arthritis, my knees are bothering me, I need to ask them a few questions. And when I find out how bad it is, what we usually do is we give them something called joint fuel. Joint fuel has curcumin and glucosamine and chondroitin and methylsulfonylmethane, that's MSM. It has some hyaluronic acid. It has nutrients to repair the damaged tissue that's done from different kinds of arthritis. And usually it's mild cases of arthritis. But joint fuel has something called CMO in it. CMO is called acetylmyristole. Okay, why does it have that? And let me explain to you. I had some knee problems, and I was having, it was getting worse and worse. So I tried glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM and hyaluronic acid to repair the damage. Well, I give it about 4 to 6 months to repair, and I take my amount that I'm supposed to take every single day. Well, nothing happened in 6 months. So I thought, well, something is going on here that is causing this problem, because it's not repairing the tissue or the synovial fluid. And what I found out is that I had what they call some autoimmune disease. That's autoimmune disease is overactive T cells that actually create damage to the synovial fluid and the connective tissue before faster than the nutrients can replace it by itself. So what happened was I did some studies on it and found out that CMO in this joint fuel has what they call autoimmune, it's immunomodulators. So it stops the overactive T cells from doing damage to the synovial fluid in the joints and the connective tissue. And by doing that, it allows the nutrients in the product itself to replace the synovial fluid that's in the joints. That's the fluid that, it protects the joints from connecting to each other. And it stops what you would call bone on bone. So we do have people that have had a knee operation or a hip operation where there's been bone on bone, which means that they have more autoimmune than what the average person with arthritis has. So we've got acetylmyrostoliate that's really strong capsules, and we give them the joint fuel that has some CMO in it, about 100 milligrams per capsule. They're supposed to take 3 a day, so to get 300 milligrams. So we give them a real strong CMO to add to that to stop the overactive T cells. That's autoimmune disease. I call them rogue T cells that create free radicals and the synovial fluid, and eat the synovial fluid faster than the nutrients can repair. But by using this real strong acetylmyrostoliate and the joint fuel together, we find out that it's actually doing a very good job in repairing and allowing those the joints to repair themselves. Now, in my case, I just needed the joint fuel, and I took that every day with the CMO in it to stop the autoimmune, and I figured I'd get it 4 to 6 months to repair. And it took the first month, at all. I was still having pain. The second month, nothing at all. Halfway through the third month, my pain went away. So that means the autoimmune disease, the overactive T cells, were stopped at the beginning, but because I've had some damage in there, it took 2.5 months to repair. And now that it's repaired, I've got to keep going with the 3 a day. Now what I do is I take also some real strong CMO every once in a while just to protect myself. So we find out that these two things work very, very well for arthritis. Okay. Now, the third major problem that I get is people with IBS, Crohn's, diverticulitis, colitis, stomach problems, okay, bowel problems. So we have answers to each one of those. We have a protocol set up that they can come in and they can get certain products that will help them to heal that colitis, that IBS, that diverticulitis, and stop it from happening, or make it easier for them to get well over a period of time, depending how bad they are. So this is what we do. And of course, we have nutrients for cancers, and we have a protocol for cancers, a 9-protocol program that helps people. And if they want to go on chemotherapy, we explain to them what that does to them. And if they want to do both, fine. It depends on what kind of cancer they have and what's going on with that cancer and what stage they are. But that's what we deal with. Those are probably the most important things. We have a lot of other things we deal with, like liver problems and kidney problems. And we do have some real good, high-powered nutrients for kidneys now that actually help kidneys to get well if you don't have a lot of scar tissue in the kidneys. And also for the liver, because knowing that certain vitamins do help to replenish the liver and clean it up, and also like milk thistle itself can rejuvenate the liver. And we deal with high blood pressure. So we have something called hawthorn that dilates the coronary arteries and lowers blood pressure naturally. And we have something called cartitone that's been very effective that way too. And people with congestive heart failure, we found out through reading about herbs and nutrients that hawthorn can actually regenerate the heart muscle, kind of like milk thistle can regenerate the liver and regrow a new liver. So we're being very successful with those things. Those are just a few of the things that we have and that we've dealt with with hundreds of people, and we've helped a lot of people since we've been here since 1982 get well. And of course, it's word of mouth that goes out. Somebody tells their friends about, he helped me with this, and they send them in. And we have ways for sore throats and colds and flus and pink eye, ear infections, you name it. You come in with a problem. Our girls are very knowledgeable. They will help. If they don't have an answer to a question, they'll send them to me, and I'm here 4 days a week, but 2 days full-time and 2 days part-time. And so I'm here to be able to answer those questions or give them some knowledge about the nutrients that we have that can help them get well, help them heal. And once they see, what we try to do is deal with people that have never been dealt with before and get them well. We see several things that are wrong with them. I'll take the worst thing that's wrong with them, work with them on that, get them well on that, and then we'll work with the other things down the line. Because a lot of people don't pay attention until they're about 40 years of age, and because the liver gets full of toxins and chemicals and starts spilling it into the bloodstream, then they start getting sick and different things happen to them. And once we show them that they can get well with these products, then they come back and say, okay, now I got this wrong or that wrong, and then we work with that too. So that's our goal, is to educate people and to give them some nutrients, sell them some nutrients that will get them well, work with them, and we've been successful over the years. Now, we help probably 85-90% of the people. Not all the people can we help because they've got so many things wrong, but when they have 2 or 3 major things, we work on those major things, and then we work on the others, and then they see that, they're getting well, so they come back again.
Awesome. Well, again, I'm here at Good Life Health Food Store with Brad Joslin. Thank you very much, Brad, for sitting down and taking the time to explain about your business and what you can do to help the community.
Well, I'm glad to answer your questions and glad to be here for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Awesome. So if you or anyone you know needs vitamins, supplements, or health tips, come to Good Life Health Foods today at 236 Division Street, Northwest Olympia, Washington, or go to goodlifehealthfoods.net.